Hello students, it is your 13th chapter of history, that is freedom struggle and Gandhiji, and so far we have discussed about the different activities that were happening after Gandhiji came to India. He took the leadership of Congress, and in the previous lecture, part 7, I discussed with you about the Quit India movement, what made Gandhiji to launch the third and the final movement, that was the Quit India, and the slogan do or die, because Second World War was very, very destructive and there was threat of the Japanese invasion. So Gandhiji and the Congress, they decided to support Britishers. Second World War, if Britishers win, then only there could be circumstances to win the independence. I also told you that a lot of part of British territory was also destroyed in the Second World War. So Quit India movement began as a mass movement. There were people from different categories, there were people from different sources. They supported Gandhiji. I told you, even women, children, if they could do nothing, they laid themselves on the railway lines, and the whole transportation and communication system of the Britishers was broken. In this situation, when the slogans of do or die were raised, Gandhiji was arrested, and there was lots of chaos in the country, because arrest of Gandhiji used to make people very aggressive, used to make satyagrahis to think that Britishers could do anything with them. And I was telling you that satyagrahis were again and again, they were humiliated by the British government. So in June 1944, when there was lots of agitation in India and Britishers were really in hot waters, on one front they had to fight with the Axis powers in the Second World War, and on the other front they were having lots of disturbance and chaos in their colony, India. So in 1944 June, they had to release Gandhi. Gandhiji was released, and again he took the charge of the movement in his hands. He had meeting with Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was the leader of the Muslim League at this time, and he had established his two-nation theory. Two-nation theory comprised of that India is comprised of two countries. One is Muslim populated, that is Pakistan, and the other is Hindu populated, that is Hindustan. Here I want to tell you that before this incident, before Gandhiji had a meeting with Muhammad Ali Jinnah, there was an attempt before the civil disobedience movement, between the two movements of Gandhiji, non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement, there was a meeting, you know. There was a meeting with Gandhi, the members of the Congress, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah and other members of the Muslim League. And the proposal was, because, you know, they were unhappy that even during the non-cooperation movement, the issue of Khilafat was not at all raised. You have never seen or read or heard that Khilafat was raised in non-cooperation movement, and moreover it was called off. So there was a sense of dissatisfaction, there was a sense of anger between the people of the Muslim League. So they had an attempt. Only for the last time they came with the Congress in the Simon Commission agitation. So in 1928-29, there was a meeting with Congress led by Mahatma Gandhi and Muslim League. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was very clear in his attitude, was very clear in his attitude, in his view, that if Congress assure us proportional representation system, that is our government in the Muslim populated areas, and you know, listeners, that Muslim populated areas at that time were Punjab and Bengal. So they wanted that there should be a proportional representation system. This was the only issue that was having enmity between the two communities. So this was the demand, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah said that if Congress assure us that they will give us the proportional representation system, we will give up the demand of two nations, we will give up the demand of Pakistan. So it was a very good proposal. Congress was very happy. What Gandhiji wanted? He wanted this thing only, that there should be no demand of a separate nation in India. So meetings were going on. conversations were going on, everybody was sitting. Hindu Mahasabha was formed in 1916, and since then they had a fear, Muslims had a fear, they had a suspicion in the mind that from earlier times also they considered Congress as a Hindu body. And when Hindu Mahasabha was formed in 1916, they had a clear vision that, and it was affiliated to Congress only. Hindu Mahasabha was affiliated to Congress only. So there was a clear vision that it is a Hindu body. So conversations were going on. The leader of Hindu Mahasabha and the members of the Hindu Mahasabha were called in to vote on this issue, because the voting was very important, because all the decisions were taken in majority and it was taken according to the democratic ideals. So as soon as Hindu Mahasabha entered, the leader M.R. Jaikar, who led Hindu Mahasabha at that time, they entered and they rejected the proposal. When they came to know that such a proposal is there before the Congress, that if Congress assure Muslims proportional representation system, they will give up communal electorate. About communal electorate also I have given you a detail in my previous lectures. It means that a community will have its separate election in which only they will vote and their candidates will contest the election. So Muhammad Ali Jinnah's proposal also said that we will give up communal electorate, and in future we will also not demand for a separate nation, because when communal electorate is not there, that will be very positive for the country, and everybody was very happy. But all the hopes were shattered, all the hopes were belied when M.R. Jaikar and Hindu Mahasabha entered the area and they said that we are not going to compromise with the Muslim League. So after this incident, after 1929, Muslim League never came with the Congress. And that is why when I was giving you the description about the civil disobedience movement, nowhere we talked about Muslim League. Muslims were totally, they were separated from the Congress by now. Okay, so after Gandhiji was released in June 1944, he had a meeting with Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And now Muhammad Ali Jinnah, they were firm to get their two-nation theory, that is Pakistan, formation of Pakistan, and the areas will be decided by a combined meeting between the different leaders. And then in 1946, Lord Wavell came to India with a plan. Remember, Second World War was so destructive and there was lots of destruction in Britain that now they were themselves, they were in hot waters. They were feeling that how can we make two nations out of one? They themselves started divide and rule in India. And when there were procedures, when there were two-nation theory and the meetings were going on between Gandhi and Jinnah, then they thought that how could we make two nations out of one? There will be riot, there will be bloodshed. It's very difficult to make two nations out of one. So Lord Wavell plan said that how can we make two nations out of one? But by now there was extreme communalism between Hindus and Muslims both. Both the communities were not ready to compromise with each other. In the last chapter of partition of the country, we will study that it was a Holocaust. Lots of destruction was there. Then there were general election in 1946 in which Congress swept a general category. Remember that there was a group of Dalits also, so-called Dalits. We are not calling them Dalits, but they call themselves Dalits because they were oppressed. Not only by the Indian society, but even by the other categories, because Britishers will not consider them when Indian community is not considering them. So there were talks over the minorities also. So Lord Wavell plan failed because I told you that both the communities, they were now very communal and they never wanted to have a compromise with each other. In February 1947, finally Lord Mountbatten was sent to India and he had a clear plan for the partition of the country into two, that is Hindustan, Hindu majority, Pakistan, Muslim majority, and the formal transfer of power on 15th August 1947. However, Gandhiji did not attend all these festivities, all these meetings. Gandhiji was not happy because he never wanted the partition of the country. Even after 15th August, Gandhiji was not interested to attend any of the hosting of the flag, any of the ceremonies were going on over there, but Gandhiji did not attend it. However, these were heroic days for Gandhi according to the historians D.G. Tendulkar. See your NCERT. D.G. Tendulkar, he wrote that these were the heroic days. Gandhiji, instead of attending these festivities and these hosting of the flags, he better went to hospitals, he better went to refugee camps, and he was serving the people. He was serving the victims, because partition was a chaos, partition was a holocaust. So these were, according to Gandhi, these were his heroic days. So simple, and such a simple personality. Now, there was attempt on Gandhiji's life. There was an attempt on 20th January 1948, an attempt on Gandhiji's life when he was in his morning prayer. Then again on 26th January, he addressed the people during his morning prayer, and he told people that for the freedom for what we fought for such a long, we are fighting for such a long period for the independence of India. I am unhappy because the independence have been gained on the ground of the partition of the country. He was not happy at all. And finally, on 30th January, Gandhi was assassinated by Nathuram Godse, a Brahmin, because Gandhiji was called by many people in India as a appeaser of Muslims. Not good for the historical sense of that, and for the freedom struggle for which Gandhiji sacrificed everything. Even he didn't allow his 4 sons to study, because he was totally dedicated to the independence of the country, and the final days were such. So students, this is the end of your chapter, Gandhian era, today. Tomorrow we will start, or in the other lecture we will start with the next chapter, that is partition of the country, because that will be in sequence with these topics. Thank you very much.